had the job like well, I got the job. I got the shaqo. I was like, what? And then the first thing I did, I calculated the activity.
How much looks in it every month?
Yeah, and then I looked at it, they were surprised because I was the youngest in my family, alhamdulillah. But my hoy was surprised, my family was surprised. I was earning more money than some of them, and they were like, yeah. And some of my relatives, they did university. They finished university.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله ثم الصلاة والسلام على نبيه المصطفى وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد daawadayaal dhammaantiin kusoo dhawaada barnaamijkan oo si toos ah idinkaga imaanaya istuudiyahan ku leenahay magaalada London. Barnaamijkan waxa uu ka mid yahay barnaamijyada joogtada ah oo aan qabanno mar walba si aan u dhiirigelinno dadkeena Soomaaliyeed meel kasta ay joogaan, gaar ahaan ama khaasatan dhinaca IT-ga wixii ku saabsan. barnaamijkan maanta waa barnaamij muhiim ah khaasatan dhinaca gabdhaha. waxaa halkan fadhiya oo jooga istuudiyaha mid ka mid ah gabdhaha ka aflaxay ka soo baxay ka qalin jabiyay GlobalNet. haddaba waxaan leeyahay Muna ku soo dhawaad barnaamijkan adiga oo mahadsan.
Assalamu alaikum, Alan.
Assalamu rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I hope you are very excited.
Yeah, no, it's
to be
weird.
here with us. Yeah?
It's weird because I watch it and then I never thought I'd hug enough recently. So yeah, it's weird.
Muna, we are both here at the studio at GlobalNet. First, معناها we would like me and other viewers from online, from Facebook, to tell us what encouraged you to join the tech sector. There are a lot of other professions, there are a lot of other jobs. So what attracted you to join and come to the tech sector?
For me personally, I didn't have one pinpoint reason because I had no experience in the tech sector before. I didn't go to university in regards to like computer science or hardware. Never in my life when I was in sixth form college did I think tech would be anywhere near my future. Even in my high school, I didn't pick ICT as a subject. I picked history. I was like, no, it's not for me. So yeah, my situation is a very weird situation. I came about your course, your class through Mahoya, through a lot of encouragement and Mahoya trying to push me, and then eventually once I did my research and I found out about these courses. And then I said, you know what, I'll check it, I'll speak to you. And then from there, a few other steps happened, but then I got there in the end.
Yeah, okay.
So my situation at that time, I was doing health and social care. Mm-hmm. So it's as far from IT as it can be. If I was doing health and social care, my next move was not my choice, but I had to do nursing because I didn't have much of a choice because I picked health and social care. So then I had to do that. I had no other choice. That was the only field left. I tried to avoid that as much as possible. So I took a gap year, and during that gap year, I did my part-time job, which was 2 days, and then like 7 months in. So there was like about three or 4 months left before I had to start applying for university. My Hoya came running in, telling me about this Ma'alin. So
Hoya, she's part of your success basically. I hope she's watching now.
She always talks about every time she knows anyone Bilavi. But yeah, no, my Hoya was the beginning. My Hoya, she came in one day from a shaqqa. She works up in Wamo. I'm not sure if you know that place, but yeah, she came in one day from her stores. It's like, oh, and then it was like 8 or 9 at night, and wait, Mate, she came in. It's like, oh, Mohamed, it's like whatever. And then she went upstairs, and she was like, I'm from Ahabir, and I think her daughter must have been doing your course. I'm not sure if she got the job or anything, but I think she was in the middle of doing your course. Mahoy came, she's like, her daughter does this Somali Ma'alin's course. And I said, okay, whatever, it's IT. And I said, okay, no, it's not 100% for me. But I kept listening. It's like, Ma'alin, the only thing you have to do is pay la'ag. I was like, okay, mate. I walked away. I was like, no, I know the situation. If the minute I heard money, I was like, it's not real, it's not true, it's not legit. And then a few times Mahoy tried to encourage me. And then I was like, yeah, no, Ma'alin, what I don't. And she just kept going, wah. And then one day she forced my hand. And she put me on speaker, and then there was just awkward moments. I had to speak to Ma'alin, and then I spoke to Ma'alin. I'm not sure if he remembers. It was a long time ago. And I said, Ma'alin, my name is Muna. I heard this from a friend about course you do IT. He's like, yeah. I said, Ma'alin, I have no experience whatsoever. I've never done it before. And he's like, yeah, you could do it. Well, I just need to do these courses. It went over my head. I didn't understand what you were saying. And I said, Mani, what's the type of la'ag? He's like, yeah, 25k to 50k wadai is really up to you. I was like, oh, okay. Oh, I'll check it out. So Mani, can we meet face to face so we could talk properly? And then, and then we booked a day a couple of days later. And then me and Mahoy went to the one up near Wembley in Stonebridge. Stonebridge, isn't it? Yeah. And then still thought it wasn't real, and then I met Ma'ana face to face. I was like, Assalamu alaikum, but he was busy. I remember that day we spoke for like 6 or 7 minutes. But then one day, inshallah ta'ala, once I did his course, I went home. What made me believe in his course was when I googled it, the courses you gave me, the leaflet, when I put A+, and I saw YouTube, I wrote A+ and Network Plus, and then I typed it and I saw YouTube people talking about it. It's the actual certification, you can get an actual job with this, you're more than ready to start your first line, and then I listened to a few videos, and then I went to Indeed, and then I wrote in the
website, the actual website.
Yes, yeah. I went to Indeed, I wrote the title A+, CompTIA A+, and then CompTIA Network Plus. And then I saw the price point, I was like, okay, this is real. But no, wallahi, yeah, from that day onwards, I was like, okay. And then from that day onwards, I went onto your YouTube, and then I literally, when I say I binge watched every video, even the Somali ones, even the one with the Somali TVs. And I don't even watch Somali TVs. Mom watches it and he's like, and then I listened to it. I watched the videos people came from the Dosa, Ayan, to the guys who used to work in delivery, and they did talk about the accomplishment. But then I saw certain guys saying they were in university with IT, but they never found a job. And then I was a bit hesitant. I was like, okay, these people have some experience. Okay. When I tell you I knew nothing, ever. It was just embarrassing. I did not know nothing. Every time, even if there was a little bit issue with my PC or. Come on, what are you used to now? I did not know what VGA. I did not know what VGA was. I did not know what HTML was. Everything. Okay. From the print ISNA, it was collecting dust. I didn't even touch it. I didn't anything technical or anything related with devices, phones, laptops, computers وما تابن المركز استوحوا هلي ولكن ما قيس وقالي إنه صايماني كذا نيسا وباس. But yeah, with me, I had no experience, not even basic experience, nothing, no knowledge whatsoever. And then I binge watched all your videos of the accomplishment people going. The guy who worked in Snapchat and he was 20 years old. Yeah. I was like, oh my god! I was like, that's like a very very big brand.
So basically, you learn more to Snapchat. Yeah.
You'd think at 20 you'd get this type of jobs when you're like 25, 26. At 20 years old.
20 years old.
Rabbi Rahman. But I saw people that were like 30, 40 years old that are up tees and saying that they had no experience. They did your course and then they found like the guy who was a security guard. Okay. In I think it was Goldman Sachs. And then he ended up working there now. Okay. And then people who had zero ibr. Even if there's Somali, even the people that just English wasn't that great, you help them. And if you can find a way to explain it to them, you can explain it to me. You can find a way. And then I said it, well, I put my head down because I couldn't have this life. For me, I started like everyone starts, most people. I started with A+. But I did A+ and Network Plus back to back. So I didn't do A+ and then wait 2 months and do a network because since it was during my gap year and I worked 2 days, I had a lot of days left. So then I said, you know what, because you said if you're not working full time, you've got the days, then do a Network Plus if you can. But I didn't want to get overwhelmed. But I pushed myself. I said, you know what, because I wanted to reduce my timeline as much as possible whilst learning as much as possible without doing any. Without skipping any room. So what I did was A+ and Network Plus. I did A+ on Tuesdays, Network Plus on Thursdays. And then, worst time. And then the pandemic hit. Oh my god. Yeah. We were the class. Worst situation ever. Right. Pandemic hit. And then it was just, I think it was a week before our network / A+ class. Because I was doing back to back, remember? So it was a week before we finished. And then I remember I was kind of relieved because that last week you were saying, yeah, get ready for the test, the commands, you're gonna have to memorize it. You have to ping, I can remember. The commands. Yeah, basic stuff. ipconfig, ip/all, you have to and ping and this and that. But alhamdulillah, that didn't happen. But yeah, and then the worst happened. and then pandemic hit. It was supposed to be a couple of weeks, and we were going to get restarted, he said. But obviously, we know how that went. It went on to being 4 months lockdown. So then, yeah, every week, man, I said, inshallah, Faridana. And then I just wanted to do my service so badly. And then eventually, Malin opened the first online class. And I think it was your first as well. And then we did server back in July. So it must have been April, May, June. And then you opened up in July online. But it was online, you said we couldn't do face-to-face. So, okay, we did online at the server. And once I did server, about halfway through, I started doing just a bit halfway through, like 6 weeks in, I started doing my CV setup, and then I started applying for jobs. And that was my role, because I started from A+ to server, like most people you encourage from there.
How do you find the courses you did at GlobalNet? They were hard, easy, manageable?
Obviously, it was easy.
Easy.
It wasn't easy. It was easy to the point where if you revise for it, you're good. Like, you don't have to. The way Ma'alin structures the work, like he breaks it down for you, that is in a way that you would understand. Anyone can understand. Like me, okay. I knew nothing. So obviously, anyone can understand it. But if you can read and write, you're fine. But the way Ma'alin breaks it down for you, wallahi, anyone. He breaks it down to you in a way that you can understand it and you can absorb it. And then once you do it, he gives you the lab we have, and then you go over it, and you have a book that you have, the Ma'alin gives you.
Our own books.
Yes, you have your own books, and then you make your own notes on the corner
in
a way that I can understand if certain words that I don't get, and you break it down to us and I write in the corner, you have to, and then I come back and you say, make sure you revise this, and you give us videos for the next class. But anyone could do, wallah, you break it down in a way that anyone could.
Okay. So you, within short time, you started applying your first IT job. So what encouraged you?
For me, like you said, when we're doing, I remember on our first week, you told us if once you do up to server class, you told us the type of roles we can apply for, technical or first line or tech engineer or whatever it may be, the title. You said these type of titles you can apply for with this type of salary base. Anyways, it came down to me. It came down once I did server. He said within week 3 or week 4, he said you could start applying. I was scared. Nope. I said no, I'm not ready. I am not ready. I don't feel like I'm at that stage yet. And then I waited another week. I waited another 2 weeks or so, and then eventually I just bit the bullet. I just said, you know what? If you don't start now, you'll never start. So then I forced myself. I pressed send to my CV. I asked for the CV. You rearranged it, done it perfectly. I applied for my first role, and the minute I pressed the first button, you couldn't stop me. I kept applying the next one. Once you start, well, you never stop. Every job, CW jobs, Total jobs, Indeed, all of them. One like this to the point where when I used to come back another day to see if there's new roles, I used to click on them. I see that I already applied. I applied everywhere, but yeah, alhamdulillah. A few of them called back, but yeah, from that stage, what encouraged me was mostly, I think the beginning is in your head is fear, because you feel like I'm still not in that stage. But when I tell you, when you start shaka first line, they don't want you to know everything. They want you to know what you teach us, and then alhamdulillah. Okay,
the reason I'm asking that question, because a lot of people, they have the knowledge, they have the skills, they have the car, but they lack the confidence.
Yeah.
So it's good someone to have that confidence, to apply and go to online, and as you said, all of them. And that was during the pandemic.
Yes, worst time. Actually, it was the best.
2021 or
2020. Okay. Everything happened in 2020. It was I feel like when the pandemic hit, every job, there wasn't much employment there, and then you'd think it's the same thing with IT, but it was the opposite. Exactly. It was booming.
The IT was opposite
booming.
Because
everyone was working from home, which means IT was stretched thin, which means they needed more people. So if you had any experience or if you had any understanding of Active Directory, Office 365, they want you. They would. Well, every time when I saw IT roles, I was surprised. I kept flipping the page and more. Okay. Demand was high, especially in the pandemic.
And the reason the demand high, because a lot of organizations, they realized people cannot go to the offices. They have to work from home. In order to do that, they need people with skills to support the IT system.
Yeah.
And that's why the IT from that moment, 2020 till now, is booming. A lot of people are getting jobs within short time. And even now, it's better than in 2020 and 2021. Anyone with IT skills like A+ and Netto+, they can get a job. So after you applied your first IT jobs, maybe online, Indeed, and this and that. So what happened? What was the next stage?
For me, For me it was a worse situation because we were one of the first classes was during the lockdown. So with us when we had the lockdown when we were doing the online classes with server, before that your other classes they used to have the other people that were in the class they used to encourage each other, help each other. If they did interviews, they would let them each other know this what happened. You need to prepare for this. I had none of it. So then I had to figure it out. So what I did, I started thinking on my feet. So what I did was, Ma'alin's server class, your server class. So what we did, so once you do your server class, everything within my job, in the beginning, everything you learn in server is what you need to know for your day to day. So once I finished your server class, what I did was, the type of, things you were teaching us every time when we got to a new section, like within our book.
Oh, the subjects.
Yeah, every time the subjects. The subjects were because I had a fake reference back then. So then we're sharing. Okay, what was your type of day to day? So then I did all the subjects you taught us. I put them as my duty. So group policy, enforcing group policy, NTFS, shadow copy, password reset. I flipped the page, I saw a new title, I saw a new title, and I wrote those on my duty. And then, because when they call you, because that's the first stage of interview. The first stage of interview is when you send your CV, you get calls. They call you every time. Most places they give you a call. They ask you 3 or 4 questions. So they know that you're a person who did this, who sent the CV, so they could put a name to the face. So what type of job did you do before? And then that's what I said the subjects of what we learned from yours.
So you had list of the tasks you did.
Everything we learned on yours, I wrote it down. So password reset. So it's first line, so you should know these type of things. These are basic. So password resets, accounts, permissions.
Shadow copy,
group policy, and then I said I'd do that, and then and then why did you leave, and then because it was during the pandemic, so I had to improvise.
Of course,
I had to find an actual plausible excuse, and it actually worked. And I said during the pandemic, because a lot of people shut down, so I said during the pandemic my place shrunk, so they moved to a new location. And then alhamdulillah, and then they said okay, and then I said I had I think 3 calls similar to that. I know that's the thing, you get nervous you always get nervous at first, but once you do the first they ask you the questions, it's repetition at the end. It's the next caller asks the same question, the next caller asks the same question, and then that's when you realize that.
Okay, but how do you practice? Because in order to remember all these words and tasks, you have to practice. So how do you practice?
That was the first stage. Interview, there's multiple stages. Well, at least in my situation, it was the first stage. Some of them didn't call back. So what I did, obviously, I wrote down as my experience of what I learned in class, and then one of them did call back. So then I was shortlisted. First they look at your CV and then you're shortlisted, and then they look at they talk to you, and if they like what you're saying, say what type of experience you've had, and if it's in line with what their duties are or what they want in a person, then they shortlist you again. And then alhamdulillah I got shortlisted, which was the last part of the interview, to one organisation specifically. But alhamdulillah with that, then came a whole different other situation, and then that was hard in itself. It wasn't hard, but it was definitely rememberable.
So after the phone interview, then next stage is face to face.
Yeah.
So tell us about the first face to face interview.
So I had no experience whatsoever. So alhamdulillah, I had an agency. So then the place I was with, they have an agency, and then they shortlist the people, and then they take in the last 3 or 4, and then they choose who they want with best. Alhamdulillah, I had an agency, and then he helped me prepare.
So even the agency helped you prepare? The agency
helped me prepare. We had 3 calls. He didn't care. I wanted every time. He said, oh, do you want another prep to make sure you get it right? At the beginning, I was horrible. I was bad. He was asking me, what did you do? And then he was asking me certain questions, and then I was just talking around in circles, and then I got away with it. Second, and then we had this, and then he told me what I need to say. And he said, yes, okay. Alhamdulillah, wallah, he definitely helped me. So he was like, what you need to know is the organisation. So he told me, and then I found out 1 or 2 things about the organisation, and then he told me, no, say this. And then I memorized, I wrote it down, I got a book next, because it was a Zoom meeting.
Oh, Zoom meeting, okay.
Zoom meeting, so I had a book next to me, one Qur'an, organisation, everything he told me, 3-4 lines, and then he told me, make sure when you're in the interview, because I had to act like I was in an interview, like I was with them.
Face to face.
And if he was happy, then you're ready. If he's not happy, then you're not prepared yet.
Okay.
So then I said, you need to know the organization. You need to know memorize the title,
The task is
your role,
the title,
your
the role,
role. So
of course,
say mine. I know my role as, I know your title, which was my net support officer. So if you know if you know your role, then they know that you've done your research. And then once you know your role, and then they ask you, do you know what we want from you? And then you have to memorize the duties. So I say there's 3 things you need to know in an interview is the organization. So do your own little on your own little task and feedback and on the company, what they do, and their own little know the organization, the duties, and what your role is, and your title. So then you can feedback saying, yes, I know this is what you want from me, but yes. And then the interview, and then once I was ready, within the third video call that I had with him, I memorized everything, and then I was ready.
MashaAllah.
I was memorizing. Yeah, it was hard.
So from here waxaan ka fahmaynaa Muna xitaa agenciyada laftooda inay qofka caawinayaan to get معناها the first IT job.
100%. They
So in laga baqay maaha soo maaha. Yeah.
It was me with my situation. Once I was ready, and he told me, he said, this is going to be the day you start your job, and you're going to have 3 interviewers. And then I was like, okay, that's weird, but okay, hey meesha shaqadaada waa, this is the address. It was up in Chelsea. I had to go. And then I memorized it. I had to keep memorizing my line because it was like a week later. So markas waan xafiday. Waan xafiday. He was like, okay, I memorized the duties word for word.
Okay.
I memorized the organization, and I memorized my roles wax kasta. And I memorized also what I was going to say, because back then when I was telling them my duties back in shaqadayda kale in GlobalNet ma kunu sheegay when I was working for you. Before I was reading from a paper.
Okay.
So then this time I had to one حفظوها.
دوشة تحسب وحنا وتبدأ سكتي.
I used to talk to myself, go back. Work on حالي كذي. This is what they want, and then I know this. This is the first line I did this. I'm going and then eventually I got there, and then when you're there, well, it's very intimidating because when I went there, it's big place.
The face-to-face one.
It's face-to-face because now it's face-to-face.
And which company? That is Chelsea.
Royal Hospital Chelsea. Royal Hospital Chelsea. It's like it's right in the middle of Chelsea. And then it was weird when I went there. Beautiful place. Well, I way after it's like a whole different world. And then when I went to my place where the interview was staged, it was right like in the middle of the field. So you had to keep walking, and way after Qur'an. Yeah, well, inshallah ta'ala one shaqaya again. And then I went to my interview, and then once I got there, I sat down, and there was a long table. It was so intimidating. There was a long table.
Big, huge one.
Yes, wallahi, it was a long table. It was longer than this room. And then my manager, which is now Hagas way fixing say, Nagta events, head of events, and head of health and social care. I
think the reason they did that because of COVID in Somali. You wonder the distance.
Yes. Yeah. Oh yeah, I was wearing my mask.
Social distancing.
I was wearing my mask. And then do you want to take off? I said, may, I'm good. Because back then it was no one knew what COVID was.
I know.
So I kept my mask your house. But I was surprised. I was one year because I thought it was just manager your house, Samaha. But it wasn't just a manager. It was other people. Then you realize later why they're there because it's got to do with your role. But anyways, yeah. So I started the interview. They asked me, so everything what the agency told me popped up. So they asked me, shaqadan magaran so hewayan company gun, and then I knew that the company. When I say yes, company gun mawahan. You do this. Do you know when building can go into? They're very specific, and then they want to know. Yeah, because it's a very old building, so they want to know background on that. So pretty much every organization just do your own little your own real research, and then make sure you understand the concept, like the whole reason of the company, what they do, who they cater to, your hasi. And then once I did that, and then I got a few questions. Then they asked me the questions, and then that's why I started panicking because they said, oh, so hagik shaqay? I said, oh, hagano shaqay, hagasi kilobina about 9 months we hasi. What was your day-to-day? And then when you share everything you you teach us on server. I said that as my day-to-day way on. And then we say, hey, do you know what your role is? And I said yes. I know that my role as a network support engineer.
Obviously,
Engineer, I'm required to know my duties are this, all everything that's written in the duties. I memorized it and the way fahamte, and that way they know that you know what's required of you.
Okay.
So then they know that you're interested. You have this person has been doing their research. So I'd say, and then once that was done, and then they ask you questions. We're shaking, okay, so why did you leave Shaqada? And then I left because we relocated, and then it's too far for me, so it's not compatible with my day-to-day going back and forth travel. And then and then the other two, random questions like, can you cater to, are you people person? Because the events, later on I found out that we do events there as well. So then if someone comes, and then the health and social worker, later on I found out that the pension is if they give you la'ag or something, or would you do like ethical questions?
Ethical questions, basic questions.
Because back there they don't know that it's wrong to give you house and you to take wahyo in it. If they offer to you, it's not right, and you just say no. And I just be like, I want to answer their questions. And I thought that was the end. I was happy. Best day of my life. I thought that was the end. I remember I said every question I knew the answer for. I was happy. I was happy as Larry. I was walking out and he was like, let's come in to do your exam. I said, what?
Exam.
Come in, you're going to do your exam. I said, oh, okay, let's go. I started laughing. Okay. We're going to understand.
So
my God.
I expected to have exam that day.
I wanted to cry. I said, okay, I lost a job. What can I do? But I'm still going to do the exam. Obviously, I can't run away. So then I went down there and then I opened the paper. The paper was in front of me. I sat down. Bismillah, and I looked down. I was like, Allah, please come through for me. I need you right now. And then on the big time. And then I was there. I was sitting in front. I saw the paper. Wallahi, Allah was listening to me. Everything you taught us came up. And it's not just taught us everything, because there's certain things. Because obviously it was A+ and Network Plus or Server. It was a while ago.
Okay.
But for some reason, I looked back at it. I started memorizing it, and then when I went there, everything was on the test. I went overboard, hatta. I started writing extra detail. I was like, you know what? I'll show you how much I know. Okay. And then I started writing extra details, and then exam came. And then you think exam? What is that? You think it's stressful, but I'm telling you, exam first line is as basic as they come. What was for me? I don't remember a lot of it. I think it was 10 questions, and then what I remember was. To ask you, how do you find the IP address?
Okay, that's very important if you work in a network.
But it's a basic stuff. But obviously, if you listen to your class, then you know how to answer it. Because they said, okay, what's the how do you find it? If you want to find the IP address, how would you do it? IP config. Okay. Next question. What are the port numbers for this HTTPS?
Oh really? The port numbers.
Port numbers. What was and randomly.
That's why I tell Abdullah pay attention, memorize the main important port numbers. They always come.
I memorized the port numbers, but then I forgot about it. And then for some reason, when I had the interview, I don't know for some reason I had something telling me, you know what, just memorize the port numbers. I just memorized it. And I looked over, for some reason, something was telling me, just look over the commands that you learned in Network Plus Ma'alin and your server. And then that came up. Everything that came up. So they said, how do you find the IP address? What are the port numbers for this? I wrote down the port numbers, and I wrote down extra other port numbers that I knew.
Oh really?
Yes.
That shows you know more than what they.
Every time I wrote one question, I was smiling each question. I had a big smile on my face, and then when they said the port numbers, I went all overboard. I wrote RDP. Was it
RDP?
RDP. I started to the point where I get to the edge and one got in small numbers. I got one. I know my shit. Wallahi. But no, alhamdulillah, that worked out. And then they said the last question was, how do you enforce group policy? Alhamdulillah, I think we learned it like the week before, I think 2 weeks before. That's why I'd say.
And you just remembered?
I just remembered. We learned it just before your class, and I was remember. It's one of the things that I was trying to go over. So it was all the things everything that you taught us. I was going over is all the commands, and then one of them was. So if I started like a week before, I wouldn't know the answer. So I wrote the answer down, and then another answer I forgot was something to do with DNS cache.
Okay.
And then
maybe that was how to delete the DNS cache.
Yes, and then
how to display.
All I saw was cache, and then I knew one cache command. I knew one cache command, and it came through for me. only knew one custom one. And then and then I wrote that one. And then alhamdulillah, wallahi billah ma'alini, shukran. But yeah, and then the last question was group policy, and then it was enforced group policy. And then I was finished, and then they said, now.
And that was relief, mashallah.
And then now they said, here's a laptop, change the computer name.
Computer name?
Yes.
Practical one?
Yeah.
And
then alhamdulillah, somehow
Ilahi
was with me right then. I don't know, but I did not prepare for that one.
It will be all the time,
I did not prepare, but I do that every day. I know that now, obviously, it's the most basic thing ever. But back then, I didn't know ever. So the computer came, and then obviously I got every question, and then this last question, I was like, I was like, you know what? I've got majority question, just try it, see what we figure out. I'll write I'll write on the control on the start, on the search, I'll write computer name, and then it will pop up. I know it will pop up. It will pop up somewhere there. But then anyways, I wasn't feeling confident. I turned on the machine, I changed the computer name, I think I did it, and then for some reason, when I tried to restart it, because you need to restart it for the computer, for the name.
After you the computer,
once the name, because it said to restart, you need it for the name to save. And I restarted it. For some reason, the laptop crashed. It crashed, and I was like, Takbir. I was like, yes. And then I tried everything, and I waited for like 5 minutes, and the guy came like, what's going on? Because I should be done now. I was like, the laptop. I was like, you trying to figure out. It's like what was wrong with it. It was just a blue screen, and it was just loading sign, long time. And he was saying, and then I couldn't stay there forever because the next person was coming.
Okay.
And then I was like, yeah. And then
under pressure.
Yeah. And then I told them, and then I know I got everything right. I'm like, yeah, you just told that to the and he said, yeah, it's got wa'adi, I'll write that section as weekend thing.
So takbir has worked for you.
Yes, because technically it wasn't my fault. So then they couldn't see the proof or how to. So then I was like, I kept reminding him every time I was walking together because he was escorting me out. Every time I kept reminding him. The computer laptop crashed somehow. Just make sure you manager واحد سوى شيء تحت. No, you passed وعاد. And I walked out there. So I smile on my face from cheek to cheek. I know I got it. And there's not one question. I was happy that day. You
answered all the questions, yeah?
Oh, no, it was my first interview. Because when I was done, I was like, I can't be doing this again. I cannot. It's grueling. It's hard. But then alhamdulillah. It's just alhamdulillah. And eventually I finished. I was walking home, and then my agency called, and they said,
same day.
Yeah, but then it's not yet. But then they said, we're gonna get results on the next day or two. But agency was manager happy collect head, very very happy. And I know I'm gonna wax around, for some Hail Mary, something has to happen big for them not to, because there was not one question wrong with Ken, not to give the shaqqa. So then he's like, but then he knew that I was gonna get the call the next day, but my agency for some reason gave me the heads up. He said you got the job without saying you got the. It wasn't permanent, like it wasn't official. But he said, "Wallah, they was very happy, very very happy." But yeah, I went. Alhamdulillah, a day came. I think it was on Friday. I got the call from my agency, and he said, "Guess what?" I was like, "Yeah." Shaqadi wahshay.
You got the job.
I screamed. I was like, "What?" No, wait. There was one more interview. I had one more interview.
Okay.
I had one last interview, but it was with the team.
With the same company or another company?
Same company. I had one last interview, but it was literally 5 minutes. 5 minutes. It was just with the team. And then it was the people that I was working with, 2 other people there. And I was just asking you 1 or 2 questions. Not as in job related, just like if you can gel with the team or where they wanted to know. So then I just asked a basic question. Yeah. Do you care if are you people person? But yeah, 1 or 2, literally I answered like 2, maybe 2 or 3 questions. It wasn't even technical, it was just basic questions, asking them just who you are, the person, and you just come across nice and you just smile, and then at the end, long story short, he just called me and I said, Wallahi, I started screaming. It was during the pandemic, so and it was my first interview.
Okay.
So I was like, Mohamed, this can't be. Because I mentally, when I finished I mentally prepared myself for at least getting no's for a good 6 to 8 months. I gave myself 6 and I pushed it like 8 months.
To prepare
max.
Yourself, basically.
8 months max of no's. Like mentally prepare myself. If I got it before then, that's great. But then it's not going to happen at least between like within 4 to 6 months. You won't get the shock of malaha, and then because eventually you have to season yourself with the interview. Eventually get used to it, and then eventually you'll get say the right answer, and then you'll get the job. But no, alhamdulillah, I got it there, and then it was a perfect day.
MashaAllah. Allahumma
Perfect.
barik.
I remember it vividly that day. Wallahi, it was literally like three weeks after your course, like a month, I think, max 3 to a month.
At that time, people were losing jobs in the pandemic. So you got a job, that must be, mashallah.
I didn't even have a shaqqa, but it was during the pandemic, so it was lockdown. So then everyone was working from home, and we had the lag from the government. And then some people were made redundant. But I worked part time. I was one of the people that worked part time jobs, like 2 days. Oh, pandemic was the best time for me. So when people talk about the pandemic, for me, it was the best time. That's what I did the course. Within like 8 months, I did the course. I got a shaqqa, and then
You changed your career.
Over
the moon.
Beautiful, wallahi. Especially the type of lag I got. I was surprised.
MashaAllah.
At first go, because I was applying for every job, even Koi Labatan Kon Hata. I don't care, because at the beginning all I wanted was experience. Because there's only so much hadr will do to interview go before not knowing what you don't know, and then I just wanted the experience first, because I would advise that for everyone. For me, I got lucky. If you get lucky, alhamdulillah, but you can get the lag you want eventually once you get the experience. But at the beginning I'd be like, shaqqa that apply, get it everywhere, don't look at that lag, and if the distance is long, make it and just stay there until you're there for like 6 to 8 months and you got the experience. You can tick that off, and you know what the type of.
What are the main websites to apply the job, Muna? What are the main websites? If you mention like maybe 4 or 5?
Yeah, it's like Indeed, the one everyone
Indeed,
knows,
yeah.
Total, and then was it the CW Jobs?
CW Jobs, yeah.
CW Jobs, I love that one for some reason, I don't know why. That and Total, I think that Total is better than Indeed. I feel like Indeed has this, but I don't know, I just like the structure better. Like, it says it's easier, like
maybe the user
title,
interface is easier and better.
I don't know, maybe visually just looks better. Like Indeed looks very odd, but I apply for all. But most of the jobs I tend to apply, I think, was CW and Total. But yeah, and then alhamdulillah. But I applied for every job. I did not care about the salary or the distance. I just wanted to shaqqa. But alhamdulillah, yeah. And then eventually I got a shaqqa, which the distance wasn't too long and the salary was quite decent, because I didn't expect it to get that. I thought I'd get that maybe a year or two after.
In terms of technical questions, what are the main questions people to expect, for example, in terms of technical?
I'd say wherever Mohamed teaches you in the course for A+ and Network Plus commands, Garo, memorize it. Commands ga server Garo, but in server also know everything. What he teaches you from week 1.
So that's the most important course in order to get your first IT job.
My day to day, when I started my shaqqa, my day to day was your server course was my day to day shaqqa, everything in the beginning. Obviously now what I know now, I learned everything else whilst I was in the job, and I think they do that everywhere else. But in the beginning, for first line person, you need to know what you teach us generally with Office, Active Directory, because that is the basic, that is the day to day, because that's where everything is run pretty much. So I'll say that memorize the commands and the server class. Make sure you have your eyes.
So how many people are in your team at the moment? You work with a very good place in the city.
Of course. Yeah, come on. Man, you remember?
I remember you used to say.
Well, yeah, alhamdulillah. I got Allah was listening for this.
You know, Muna, mashallah, she's very ambitious girl. She used to say, I want to work in the city. I want to work in the city with, mashallah, successful people. So, and now you are one of them.
Alhamdulillah, yeah. I remember I was sitting in the back of my class. I was like, Malin, I want to work in this, because I was one time I went to the city, and then I saw tall buildings. I was like, yeah,
this is my place.
This is the type of place for me. I knew I couldn't work there from where I was back then, because I didn't have so I wasn't become a doctor or lawyer or anything like that. Okay. So I didn't have that type of education. Because at most I'd maybe work in the NHS, you have to kill it, and that might be like Ealing, you have to that type of area. You can work in there, that's fine. But for me, visually, when I saw that, I was like, bro, those people made it. Big, tall building, that are looking brand new and crisp. I was in the city, I was looking, and then the people walking around, and you see people busy walking around in their shaqqa with their shop suits. And then I was like, one day, wallah, inshallah. It wasn't even one day, because back then I was like, inshallah. For me, if I had a dream, it would be like somewhere similar to that. Yeah. And then I work similar, not far from the place I was
and talking about. You're there, mashallah.
Inshallah, mashallah. Yeah. But no, with my teams, like you were talking about earlier, my team was. There's a lot of departments. My team is very small in regards to other departments, which is surprising because it's IT. But then that means we have a lot of stuff on our shoulder. But then alhamdulillah, there's 4 of us.
So Muna, alhamdulillah, you work in the NCT, good price, in tech and IT, you earn good money as you said.
MashaAllah.
So tell us your typical day. If you go to the office in the morning, you go and grab your cup of tea or coffee, whatever you enjoy, and you go to your system. So tell us and give us details about your day in, day out, day-to-day job.
My shaqqa, when I first came in, first started, you'd come in, or for the and then the first thing you do is check your ticketing system. Every day is a different situation, but it's also similar. It's like the same thing, it tends to repeat itself. And then you come in, you open your ticket system. So you'd get first few calls, you get people calling you, they'll be like, oh, password key won't allow it, or I'm locked. You do those first, go to Active Directory, unlock them, I'm gonna reset the password. Then you get people saying, oh, I need access to these folder permissions. Or you say people coming and saying, oh, I need, I don't have access to the Wi-Fi if there's a certain event, and you generate a Wi-Fi code for them. And then there's people saying I have issues with printing, or can you generate a printing for me, a printing password? And then you get a few calls like that. But I'll say my day in general, wallahi, varies. It varies. In the beginning, it was very different to what now, because I know I do more now than I did back. I did a lot back then, but I do more, as in I do more hardware as well nowadays as well. And a lot of antiviruses, I work around that. But in the beginning, I'd say everything you learn in your course were day to day. So I'd say resetting passwords, creating folders and permissions, creating accounts, groups, pretty much, yeah.
So that's what you do every single day?
No, I'll say that's the beginning in the morning, and then later on it changes. So then we have a nurse call system. The job pensions wise is on Mesha. So then if you go to infirmary, so we have people that are like pensioners, that are like, if they have dementia and they have beds in the hospital, where they have a pendant. So if there's like water damage, you'd have to go resync that to the nurse call system, like exactly the one you see in your GP. It has that with a sound, it bells, it rings, and then if there's like water damage, and then we resync and fix that. If they have printing issues, one tagging off physically, obviously we do it from our PC, but if we can't, then we go check it, and if there's still issue, then we realize, oh, there's a paper jam, and what basic, and then we check it, and we do that. And then eventually I got more and more roles, so I started patching switches, and then I started doing phones, MDM, so mobile device management, and then I started doing imaging and but in the beginning, I'll say that's the beginning. Everything you learn in server, that's what they want for you. For my shaqqa, that's what they wanted, and then eventually bit by bit, I wanted more responsibility. One way to and we to son, and then eventually I took that role, and then once I knew to do that, and eventually I took more. But I'll say personally, people that are watching, if we're oh, shaqada William, I'm not sure, because I was like that as well. But I'm telling you, everything you learn and it's called Hisa is like the foundation, or Bilabista. It's like everything is what you need to know, and if you know that, and it's if you start listening to Mali's class, then you went over it and you know that, and you go in your job, you start doing it. That's your day to day. And if they wanted more roles, they won't tell you, they won't like drop you to the deep end and say figure it out. They'll teach you along the way. Okay,
Mona, now you work in the IT, and and you're talking about that. And before the IT, of course, you worked other places. So how do you compare IT to other jobs, previous jobs? Do you think it's easier, difficult? Give us feedback.
It's hard to explain, because IT is the most chill job I've ever had in my life. I'm telling you, because with me, I've had shaqqa that you name it. I've had retail. I worked as a carer. I've worked as a in nurseries.
Receptionist, admin.
No, not really, because my shaqqa, because I was a teenager, so it was basically a part-time job. My shaqqa now is my first like proper full-time job.
Oh, okay.
Well, first one, because I started your course when I was like 20 years old. And then I just finished college, and then shaqqa and I back here and there, and it was just basic part-time jobs. And then I came across you, and then I did. But those jobs I did part-time. I worked 2 days, and I hated it with every fibre of my being. I hated it. You work there. It's grueling. It's
wow, it's
difficult job. Difficult. You're just working like 8 hours or 10 hours, like retail. Oh my God, people are rude. And I shaqadan, and you're busy. But shaqadan, it's a different type of busy. It's like you sit down there and someone's saying, and today you realize you have 20 new users, you have to image PCs, we've got 5 new phones and laptops, you need to do them as well. But then it's not rushed. You do it because for me, if that's that's the most busiest day, because then I'll know, okay, my colleagues can't talk to me, I just need to, but I'll do it at my own time. Like I just sit there, installing BitLocker, setting up this, setting up that, that's done. Next one, done. It's chilled. Wallahi, it's no different than me sitting right now and not texting on my phone and going through social media for the next 2 hours. No different. Similar to that, it's different. Wallahi, when you think about what you're after, that type of shaqqa is grueling, and they take everything out of you, and it's horrible. And in this one, they just want you to know what you know. They expect, and then in return, physically, they don't expect you to stress, get grey hair. They don't want you to start getting stressed or ruin your back over your hassle. Very nice.
It's very relaxed environment.
Very relaxing. I never knew this type of life existed. If I did, I would have gone back. Wallahi, alhamdulillah though. But I'm telling you, this is not adi. I'm just surprised because they tell you, if you don't go to university, Hasi, you can't. There's no other way. There's no other cheat code system or clear to get into a job fi'an that's not physically grueling in your. It's just not physically grueling, and that pays good money. You will never find that ever. And then somehow I found this man's course, alhamdulillah.
So now the title of this webinar is how to encourage a lot of Somali girls, young girls, to get into the tech sector. So if you tell us a few things that encourages the Somali or non-Somali even girls into the tech, so what would you say?
I would say, wallahi, don't be scared. Really and truly. Because when I started, first I thought because the first thing you're thinking, because it's the same thing as my mindset, the first thing you're thinking is I have no experience. I have no experience, not in like tech industry, but just like knowledge-wise. I've never studied it. I've never so much looked at it. It's like my situation. I've never. Every time there was an issue, I used to call my brother. I did nothing. I used to never research or anything. I'll say, do my course. The way he breaks it down is so simple, so easy. And once that's done, then the next thing you're scared about is saying, "Oh, do I know enough for the shaqqa?" And then you realize you do. Eventually, once you start working, but then I feel like that's the mindset that's holding you back. Then the other mindset that's holding you back with me as well was because I'm a Muslim on our hijab and herenya. I said, I'm like, oh, are they gonna hire me compared to the ninka haga siga frisini or adanka with a suit, like, because I was sitting there and I was like, but yeah, wallahi, it's very, it's all in your head though. That's the thing. But the thing is, you even get that mindset when you're just sitting even in your class, because it's predominantly there's like 90% guys over there, and you can see maybe 1 or 2 girls in the classroom with you. But wallahi, what you after? And then alhamdulillah, what you encouraged me was first week when you have the induction A+. So one girl came, who was from your class, and she was an MPs. I don't know why. That's why it was legit. It was the first week with induction, it was A+, and then she came in, and then she got her friend. And that's how I knew it was real. I was like, if she's telling her friends about it and encouraging them to go. Anyways, she was doing medicine, whatever. And she's like, yeah, my course keeps wonder high. Well, actually, when I remember vividly. I remember.
Was the deaf and more?
I'm not sure. Yes. She said I came with my sister. I did it with my sister. Wallahi, I did Ma'anis course, and then I wasn't sure about it. I spoke to him. I did Ma'anis course. I did up to CCNA, but she's like, I encourage you to do up to like server, start applying for course, because then you're wasting your time period there. Because she's like, if I had to go back, I'd do that. I would start applying for jobs for server instead of after CCNA, because you're just longing it out then. But anyways, she said, yeah, I started doing the job. Sister got shaqqa ASAP, but she never found a job like for a while, and then she was just questioning it, and eventually she got a job like 8 months later. That's why I give myself that same mindset, like 6 to 8 months. I give myself that max. And then she said I started working for I worked now 6 months in the car, and now I'm gonna get a pay bump 7K. I was like, what?
Wow.
Yeah, I was like, what? Who would say that? What type of job? Wallahi, you can't say that to any type of job that would say that. 7K pay bump. We're just working there for a couple of months. No, wallahi. But yeah.
And now even the IT market is better. People are getting jobs within short time, 2, 3, 4 weeks of applying.
Yeah, but I feel like the girls is different, because not only are we just, number one, everyone's mindset is saying, yeah, we don't know nothing, but with them, there's like, we're visually, we visually look like Muslims. The guy, they can walk off, then if you say Assalamu alaikum, then they know you're Muslim or whatever, if you're carrying a beard, you're hasi. But you're not wearing, like, we're visually wearing like the scarf on our head.
Feasible like,
you can see that we're Muslims. Like, it's not one, that's the one thing you notice the minute you see us, so then you feel like that's like a barrier. First thing, and the thing is, it's not even a face. It's not even. It's all in your head. That's what you realize. I used to panic. I used to be like, but it's easy to go there, sweating. But I was just like stressing, and then alhamdulillah, when you go there, still there. Even shaqadi, there's no. I'm like me and there's one other hijabi, but she's all doing the other corner. All doing the other corner. I have there's like hundreds of people working there. She's the other hijabi.
She's Somali.
She's Uganda. Uganda. She's all on the other side. Wallahi. One salam every time. And one other Muslim. Yes. And then one other Muslim person is, I think he's Philippines, but he's a cleaner. Yeah. But you don't see a lot of visually.
But how do you feel practicing? Can you pray? Can you go to Jum'ah if you want to?
100%.
Can you? So no one asks you any question whatsoever.
It depends. I was kind of surprised because when I came in. Manager came with us. Well, I called them with say want to carry hasi alhamdulillah. But I thought it was the same situation for everyone. But with the girl, I قابلت كلام my other colleague how and then her situation is she used to pray, but then made mulad even her own area. So she used to pray in the office, and it's awkward because the job is especially and then so it was awkward. So it was a weird thing. I was surprised. Even my manager way up. She said she should give you your own, and also she didn't. We're cool. Like she used to let her pray, but then we got on some we took in during her work period, which year but alhamdulillah we started talking, and then we went up and made like an email format and then we started she spoke with the CEO, and then alhamdulillah he gave us our own little section and then alhamdulillah she made the format and then we looked over how because he was going to email it to everyone else, so then we just said make sure no one can walk on the floor in that room, make sure that and everyone praised him, alhamdulillah. I think, and then I realized there was 3 or 4 other Muslim that Johagas children, I'm not gonna name. And then it's like chefs, wahasi, and it's like a qal, it's very small, but it's better than nothing. But alhamdulillah, the guy we took that and then
but at least you ask your manager to have some me and her always ask if you go to a place and ask them to give you
and then he sent a format and then he put it inside our intranet, our in-house internet one night, and then we show you there's this place where if you want to pray and you can
so they informed other people.
Yes, you try to inform as much as people as possible. So if they do want to pray, there's an area for them, but alhamdulillah is good.
What about working from home? Do you work from home sometimes, Mona?
With my situation, you can. Like my manager, she encouraged me. She's like, I choose not to work from home, purely because I'm in like the beginning stage of my IT knowledge. So I feel like if I started working from home, I wouldn't know half the things that I do now. I feel like in the beginning, you should try to absorb as much as you can, because you can never go back. Because once you start, let's say shaqadat, you've been there for a year, whatever. You're qualified now to go to second line of house, and if you try to shortcut your way, wallah, I feel like it's gonna hurt you in the long run. Because one day you're gonna come across a problem, and let's say you're on your second line, or you're, I don't know, a network engineer, and then they give you a question, or someone asks a question from you, something that's basic from a first line, and you don't know the answer to it, but just because you just chose the shortcut because you started running after the money, So I'll say for me, I opted out. She still encouraged me because she said, "Do you still want to work for me?" I said, "No, I'm good, thank you." Because some of my roles, or the roles I asked for, tend to be more. You have to be there, like imaging PCs, laptops, installing BitLocker. Doing regular software updates, and any printing issues, and then if you're working from home, and if there's an issue, and say you could go to install the driver, or you could check if there's issue and with the spooler, but then imagine the issue isn't specifically behind the PC, it's more so physically, like the issue with the paper jamming. basic stuff like I forgot to put change the tone or your hassle color, and then I feel like it's better to work there, and that's where I learned everything else, like the patching, PCs, everything. Wallahi, I feel like a lot of stuff, pendants, deck phones.
So if you are new to IT, it's better to go to the office rather than work from home, because you can learn a lot on the site.
If I was working from home, I wouldn't know about MDM. Because everyone gets, in my shaqqa, everyone gets their own personal phone. You get this similar phone here.
Oh.
And then this phone is your office phone. Everyone gets it, and you have to carry around. And if they call you, they call you from this. Your email, you can access it.
Okay.
So, but in our IT department, if there's new phones, you have to come to us straight away. What we do is set up the Android enterprise setup, and once that's done, install sofas, and then once that's done, make sure the sofas is compliant, like Intercept X, Workstation. Make sure it's all compliant with sofas, and then once that's done, give it to the person, and then explain to them how to access the email, how to access the our space, which is our in-house intranet, and all our apps that we provide for them. And then pretty much those kind of stuff I wouldn't know about if I didn't work Hagasi.
Okay. So Muna, what do you see yourself in next maybe 2-3 years?
Inshallah ta'ala, wallahi, I'm not sure. But anyways, for me, obviously since the pandemic here, I need to finish my server class, because once I got the shaqqa one out of it.
You distracted.
Distracted. But no, I finished it. I was like 3 or 4 weeks away, 3 weeks from class Gagi. Anyways, I need to finish that. Once that's done, I'll finish CCNA, and then once that's done, and then hopefully go into cloud. But I want to finish CCNA, hopefully get the certification, Yuhasi, and then from there, I'm not sure. I want to speak with you in the future, inshallah, where we go from there.
قبل ما نبدأ session كمان تحاول بدن a lot of معناها girls. So what is your best advice to give them, especially قبلها أنت كل شيء, if I say والله قبلها هودك عن جوجا. So what's your best advice if they want to join the tech sector?
Wallahi, for me, I came from a situation where I knew no knowledge. I worked a crap job with a horrible wage. I saw no prospects, like future prospects in my life, like where I wanted to go. I'll say, let's say if you're working in retail, or you're working as a carer, or you're working as even a delivery, it doesn't matter. Wallahi, it does not. You do not need to have any knowledge beforehand to do this course. Ma'alin breaks it down from the beginning. He breaks it down each time in a way that doesn't overwhelm you, and then once you understand it, you move to the next section, and then you're not by yourself. Other people are there with you as well. They can help you. But inshallah ta'ala, once that's done, and you do your A+ and Network Plus, and you do your server, and then encourage you. Wallahi, you get scared in the beginning. You don't want to apply for jobs, but do that 100%. Start applying for jobs, and then I'll say, in my situation, is a rare event. So I'd say, in general, once you do the interview stage, know the organization, know all the commands you learn in Ma'ani from A+ all the way to server, and know everything you learn in server class. Even though if you get encouraged, if you get told you can start from within your 3rd week to apply for jobs, I'll say don't apply until like you're 80% done. Once you're done doing 80% of the server course, apply for jobs, and then you're ready. And then once you start applying for jobs, you're gonna get a lot of no's in the beginning. But wallahi, don't be discouraged, because it's, like I said, it's very repetitive. Once you hear the first interviewer asking you these questions, go home, research it, make your own shortcut of what the answers are, and then once you're done, and then you let's say you failed this interview, you go to your next interview, you find out this guy saying the same thing, and then you're prepared, and you can answer back, and eventually one day you'll get the job. Or if this person is asking you questions, go home, research it, and then boom, one day inshallah ta'ala you'll be in a position where someone asks you a question and you'll know every single answer, and then alhamdulillah you'll start. And then I feel like once you do start, there's like a new fear comes in, because then you're like, okay, now shaqada wan helay, how can I fake it through there, because and then alhamdulillah, everything, at least my team, alhamdulillah, the first month, I think most organizations do this, they ask you to shadow them. So then the first month they don't expect you to do a lot. Every time they're doing something, or they expect something from you, they'll do it, they'll show you their system and everything. Like my system, we work with Papercar, Mytel, Rockets for how to generate Wi-Fi codes, Active Directory. Ma'alin teaches us, but it's still there. They still show you how to do it. And Office 365, if we're creating accounts you has to even if providing licensing you has to you learn it in the job. In the job, but what you're scared of starting in the beginning, you need what Ma'alin taught you and yourself you has to, and then eventually from there you pick up new responsibilities, but then it's all up to you. Wallah, you could do up to your duties, but for me I wanted more and more. I wanted to learn as much as I could, so then once I did knew how to basic stuff, resetting password, you create accounts, you have to clear and permissions. Then I said, okay, how do you do these mobiles? Mark someone installing sofas. Okay, sofas. And then
so you ask questions.
Yeah, one next week okay, how it's antivirus, you have to, and I said, hey, what can I? And then next minute the PCs came every time new PC, and then he used to image it, and then imaging, and oh my god, one configure, and then one has to stay. But he still teaches you imaging how you, and then installing sofas, and then once that's done. Sofas is in everything, but then once that's done, you do the account and you has it, and then the next minute it's the laptops, and once you're used to that and you see him do the laptop, okay, I know how to do this. Okay, laptop and he shows you how to update Adobe, update Microsoft, Google, you has it done. And once that's done, make sure that it's it has a bit of or it has all the latest updates, like they'll support assist you has to clear. But alhamdulillah, I say, don't be scared. Most people, guys and girls, but then girls, I feel like there's a different type of fear that you have, because there's a lot of things you kind of have to. But I'll say most of the fear that you have, it tends to be in your head, and you don't realize until you get the job. Well, wallah, inshallah ta'ala, we'll get there, and then you guys will be sitting here and then talking about your shaqqa, working in a good place, in a good area, easy, no stress. I go home, nothing.
MashaAllah. Runti Muna, we are proud of you, and alhamdulillah, now there are a lot of Somali girls who work in the tech sector, and alhamdulillah, we're doing our best. That's why I invited you. And
I feel like at the beginning, everyone has the same thing, where it's just leaving the tough life and trying to find a job that has a good salary, and work up to. And then for me, I literally once I got the job, the months before I was staying at home, a job center even every month, like 250 or hasi. And then I was like my last 20 quid, 30 quid, and then I heard the job like I got the job, I got the shaqqa. I was like, what? And then the first thing I did, I calculated
how much you every month?
And then I looked at it and then I said, I just got like over 2k. I earned like 25.
That's quite a lot.
I earned like 20. Alhamdulillah, I earned 25k a year, and I just earned over 2k. And then I was on like my last £20, and then I was like, my lunch is on me. I called everyone, my bro. I was like, I got the job. Takeaway on me. Let's go in the money. And then I got a takeaway. I think I was even minus. I don't even know. Wallah, I was just excited. I was like, I'm not living this broke life anymore. No, my. Wallah, alhamdulillah. And back then I was earning like
out of the buffet,
yeah, they were surprised because I was the youngest in my family. Alhamdulillah. But my whole was surprised, my family was surprised. I was earning more money than some of them, and they were like, and some of my relatives, they did university, they finished university, and my whole said, "Ha, قبرتها IT because when I was working for Ma'alin, doing the shaqqa, when I was doing the course, one hour, I said, well, I didn't want to talk, I didn't want to jinx it, because I feel like, imagine if it doesn't work out, then it's just going to shoot you in the foot.
I see.
And then eventually, once I got the shaqqa, I got a microphone out, I declared it to the world. I said, what? Don't worry. And then I said, don't worry, I'll give you I'll get you that shoe you want, don't worry. And then alhamdulillah, it comes with a lot of benefits. I feel like the best thing is realizing you control your salary. If I wanted more lag, I'd do another course, which is 2 months. I got another shaqqa with more lag. It's literally with my friends. I feel like that's the most money that they'll get. If they wanted, like let's say 5 or 6k above, then they'll need to have at least another 3-4 experience with this, with that.
But with you,
I can get within a year or year and a half a pay bump. But wallahi, way up to, especially money wise, at my age, because I was so young. I've been working like a year and a half now. But back then, I think it was like. I was 21, and then it was like my birthday a week or two later, and then I remember I was fresh at like 22, and then and then a few weeks later was my birthday, and but my brother, I remember I
know, it's not
I called you, and then I was stressing because one of the things people didn't tell me was once you do get the shaqqa, they want what do they call it? Proof of ID.
Oh, proof of ID, of course, yeah.
No one told me. I started getting annoyed with my brother as well. Why did they not tell me you need? Because I've never had a full-time job in Somali, so then they wanted your
P60
P60 passport one has to fine, but then I didn't have no P60 my name. So then they said, okay, ID gaga, the P60 gaga, shaqada da kalam kanin. I said, yeah, but Malaha must have lost the Makaguriya when I was moving. Well, you need to improvise. Well, because you just stress because they're like, yeah, you should have P60 somehow. And then next minute I started applying straight away for a driving license. I wanted to cry so bad because I was just like, it's going to take me at least 2 weeks to come through. I'm going to lose a job by then because it's been a week already. They was asking me, where are you? And then alhamdulillah, my driving license came within like 48 hours. But then that came and then I got the shaqqa. But alhamdulillah, I feel like the best part of the job is knowing that like you can provide for your family or especially in my because I'm like I come like from like a single household, and then especially with especially us, everyone, boys, girls. So it's us as Somali who have Somali parents, they work hard. Especially our Hoyas and our boss. They work hard. They work.
Oh, you must be proud of you now.
They look like 2 or 3 jobs, cleaning your house, and then all they want for you is to do that, and you get there eventually one day. And alhamdulillah, with your course, alhamdulillah, we got there in the end.
I'm very happy for you,
very shocking.
Yeah.
Wallahi, and then Mohamed, my brother, when I was. I said, man, I got the job. He said, oh, mashallah. And my brother grabbed the phone. He's like, and then that's when he knew. I remember I was talking to him when I first started, the first week I started April. I was like, Mohamed, wallah, you need to come. Because this is legit. And then he started, he said, no, you try it out. Because they wanted me to use my money. Because back then I didn't have a lot of lag. I started using my money, and then I paid like...
another year, Muna, I wanted to earn maybe 50, 60, 70k.
Well, one day.
So give me another year, inshallah.
But alhamdulillah, now I'm
I want to take you to the next level.
Inshallah. But no, pandemic here, and then I wanted face-to-face classes, so then I just waited till then. But I feel like, honestly, if I spoke to people that are in my position, that are doing your courses or doing the server and with the money and shakha, the way they're getting prepared, don't go after the salary, because you should get the experience first, and then malaha from there. Malaha, when you got 6 months and if you got a shit salary, just work there. Try to force yourself to work there 6 to 8 months. Your house, and then malaha, cool. You choose what you want. But beggars can't be choosers. Wallahi, in the beginning, yeah, that's what I say. Beggars can't be choosers. You can't be applying for all jobs, and then a job is 21k, saying yeah, would like to offer you the job, but you're like, no, mate, I'm waiting for this imaginary 28k job that's coming for me. I said, just go. You got the shaqqa, and then now you can work there, and then eventually you know where this is going to lead up to. So don't force a situation that you might not get.
Wallahi, Muna, mashallah, this conversation is very fascinating and mashallah entertainment for a lot of people, and I wish to have more time. But thanks for coming, and thanks for sharing your knowledge and experience, and to encourage other Somali people.
No, wallahi, I wouldn't be here without Ma'alin. I'd say that 100%. If you're hesitant about doing the course kadaha, and if you're doing the course, listen to Ma'alin, because I know when you're like halfway through and you're like 4-hour lessons, you zone out within like an hour or two. I was like, wallahi, don't, because these things pop up. One day you'll realize how much it does help you day to day.
There's no need to have a degree. There's no need to have. Mona, let me ask you, how many certifications do you have?
Ever. I don't have, because that's the thing, when you do the course.
So you don't have any certification whatsoever?
None. Because when they ask for you, when they normally, when you start your course, your house, they don't tend to ask certification unless you're doing like CCNA. Because for them, then you need proof, because this is like, it's heavier. It's like,
it's more advanced.
Yeah, it's more advanced. Not only do you, even if you know the knowledge, your hasi, they still need a certification for you to verify, to say that you can earn this type of salary, your hasi. But I'll say with A+ network process. So if you want to do certification, well, good for you, go for it. But me personally, I didn't have the lag for it. I didn't have the lag, so I kept repeating to man, are you sure? I know
you asked me that question a lot of time.
No, one baqi wallahi, and then but they didn't ask. I was like, man, but what if they say server kaga certificate, and you just say it's ongoing. We just say you're doing it soon, but you have to. But wallahi, even for those, I think I heard for those, one of them, someone saying they don't ask for you, they don't ask for certification, none, because it's like basic, and they know that you can do it.
Especially for first line, second line, they don't ask
because they know you can do it, or they know you got like server they know that you have like server knowledge if you know how to do Active Directory your house office, like create accounts your house. That is server. And permissions and stuff like that. That's as basic as it comes. And then from there, then they teach you, but they don't ask for proof you have ever, nothing, none.
Zero.
And then from there, if you want to learn more, then ask your college, give you more responsibility, or hasi. But if you want to stay stagnant and still, then that's up to
The reason, because I'm repeating, a lot of people ask me, معناها, can I get a job with that certification? Are you sure? معناها, that's why I'm repeating the question. So I know you can get a job. There is no need to have certification, and there is no need to have a degree. أنا قلنا ويدي أنا قا 20 years old. أنا قا صار صارنا Somali بدن كشقي in the tech sector, and we know how the IT sector works. Yeah. So guys, there is no need to have any certification whatsoever. There is no need for degree. Yeah. Within short time, 3 months, 4 months, you can get your first IT job. Yeah. And now the sector is booming. IT sector is booming. People are getting jobs every single day, basically. Yeah. So join the tech sector, change your career, work from home, earn good money. And كصباح معناها سيدا منى أشيكتي the bufferty معناها you talking about 30k to start with.
Inshallah, yeah. No, but I'll definitely say that. I'll say don't be scared. Even with IT, it's not just that. Eventually, once you get the experience, you can work from home if you want. Especially as a Somali man, your house. If you're a Somali mom, because my job, they asked me to work from home. I opt out.
But you wanted to go to the center.
Yeah, I want to. If they want, if I could, manage to get good one from now on. So okay, what 2 or 3 days want to take off? Okay. But what I'm telling you is your choice, right? With the IT, I love the comfortability of you can work from home if you want to. And the salary is up to you. Like it doesn't. They don't get to say, okay, this is where you're gonna stop. Like if you wanted to earn more salary, you dictate it. It's your choice. Like if you wanted more salary, well, just go do another course within a couple of months. Boom. With the experience you already have, it's already. But you just need that. Need the education, and with the education, it's not like with university you need to do 3 years. Your house because you can
talk about the short term.
Like with the jobs I was applying for, they were saying either you have a computer science like degree / or certification or similar. So they will say MCSA or
that's only template. They put online template.
Yeah,
they don't
template. That's what they say. But that's what they say. They give you the option. They say computer science or server / network plus or A plus or CCNA, whatever you do. But I'm saying that the person who does the computer science, that's great for them, but they did 3 years, they wasted their time. But the job there, they're pretty much telling you, someone who went to computer science is equivalent to someone who did server. But this person who did server or CCNA, whatever, took 3 months out of their 3 or 4 months out of their personal time, whereas the person who did computer science took like
3 years. 4 years.
On top of that, it's not even practical, because when they start working, they got on what they're doing. Because sometimes even the certification is better. It's more practical because they don't even know what they're doing, and then some of them don't even get the job.
Wallahi, mashallah, this conversation is very fascinating and mashallah entertainment for a lot of people, and I wish to have more time. But thanks for coming and thanks for sharing your knowledge and experience and to encourage other Somali people.
No, wallahi, I wouldn't be here without Ma'alin, I'd say that 100%. If you're hesitant about doing the course kadaha, and if you're doing the course, listen to Ma'alin, because I know when you're like halfway through, when you're like 4-hour lessons, you zone out within like an hour or two. I was like, well, I don't, because these things pop up one day where you'll realize how much it does help you day to day.